What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with the homie Sin.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? You are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about the things that are happening in pop culture. And today,
Today,
no jokes,
nope.
so don't ask. It's not coming. It's not showing up late. It's not
Not.
part of the game plan. Uh, Jokes went to go see Gundam in the
Yes.
theater.
Mm-hmm.
And we not only would we not stop him from that, we could not stop him from that. Like I don't there is any way to do that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had one. I think only two showings, both tonight. One sub, one dub. That was it. If you
Right.
don't catch it, you don't
That's
catch
it.
it. Yep.
What up, Marcus? Made it back for the intro. Welcome back, buddy. Um Doctor Who, what up? Doctor Who, maybe take a moment and drop a link in the chat. I know you got some Mother's Day stuff brewing for Meticulous Skin. So I'll make sure y'all pay attention to that. Look for that link to drop.
Yeah, things have switched up, Cuddy. So you'll see this evolve over the coming month. So I'm getting it there.
The time is coming. What up, Heather? Andrew.
Drew,
That's right.
don't worry, it's coming together slowly but surely.
You know what I mean, man, listen, there's a lot to cover tonight. So we had a plan. We had a plan for the show.
We
I mean,
did.
there's always a plan for the show, but we also know that because we cover news, that plan can shift pretty easily. So we kind of have backup plans on backup plans, or at least I try to. So there's a lot to cover today because last weekend and today specifically have been a little bit kind of bananas. So I'm just gonna tell you right now, there's gonna be a lot of video game talk today. Because there's a lot happening. But before we do that, saying if you would please do Joke's job since Jokes isn't here,
Done.
I appreciate it.
Yes,
Beacon's
sir.
link in the chat for everybody to kind of check us out, see what's brewing. Good old Patreon there. Again, just to kind of remind y'all, there's only four of us, and we're trying to do a lot of stuff between the four of us. So every little bit helps. So we appreciate you tuning in, you being here, and we appreciate your support everywhere that we are.
Yes.
Sin, you have your own job to do. So if you would.
Yeah, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
1000%. So look, it's May, which makes it AAPI month. And we always make sure we cover some really cool stuff for AAPI month and have some really great guests on. And that is definitely happening. But today, I want to take a moment to talk about the fact that May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And I do want to just kind of take a few minutes to discuss just some of the importance, of mental health, and taking it seriously, for yourself and for others, but mostly for yourself, because if you don't take care of and protect your own mental health, then that makes it much more difficult for you to help take care of other people and their mental health. Would you agree with that, Sin?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So look, it's a thing that's very important to us, and I guess we don't really necessarily tend to talk about it from the lens of it being specifically mental health, but us taking the time to do our being comfortable being a geek panels and kind of talking about what it means to be okay with who you are, and or like last month doing autism shirts to try to help spread that kind of awareness. It is an important topic. It's something that in the fields that we tend to deal in, I think you see it a bit more. I think it's a little more common for there to be people who are outwardly dealing with something on a mental level. Um and so I actually think in the spaces that we're in, it's actually a bit more well seen and documented because um people within the communities we generally dabble in are a bit more open, forthcoming, and or forgiving or understanding of what that space is like. However, we also know that outside of that space, it can be much more difficult for people to see that and recognize that. Um, One of the things that we tend to talk about when we do our being comfortable being the geek panels is whether or not, even though there are people who are at a Comic Con or some sort of like geek themed event, and we can understand that they are generally comfortable there because they do realize that they are amongst peers or people who like the same kind of stuff. We do tend to ask, do the people you work with, do you people at your job know you're here? Would you even tell them? Are you comfortable having discussions about liking this kind of stuff and where you are? And I think a lot of times when you begin to talk about mental health, what it is and what it really means, we immediately shoot off to and think about things like autism, things that are just that are labeled and kind of have a name, and there are foundations and whatever. But we don't often just talk about people just having anxiety or you know being maybe a little bit awkward socially, and how some of those things could be tied to other you know mental things. I think just making sure you take moments to even try to recognize whether or not you're going through something. I think we have a lot of people who maybe are depressed or are dealing with a situation or whatever and don't know it, wouldn't ever clinically say that that's a thing for them, wouldn't even like the idea of therapy wouldn't even cross their minds because they don't think that what they're dealing with or what they're going through, maybe even things that their body are doing to them that are stress related or something like that, are also tied to mental fatigue and just kind of dealing with those things. Sam, would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. Mental health is for lack of better words, it's a bitch. Like you just have to stay on top of it at all times. And, reach out to friends, family, people you got in your corner if you're, struggling with something. Just don't be afraid. Just reach out and just have a conversation if you just need to get it off your chest with somebody.
It's a hard thing to do.
It
I think
is.
a lot of times it's hard to feel like you can reach out to people. um it's hard to feel like it's safe for you to discuss the things that are on your mind or the things that are bothering you. I think a lot of times we're taught growing up that some of that stuff is silly, or just get over it, or it's not real, or whatever. It doesn't matter. You still got to get up and do whatever needs to be done the next day, or go to work, or whatever it is. And a lot of that is true. You do still have to, the
Yeah.
stuff that needs to get done is still going to exist. It's still going to be there. Um, but you might be surprised how helpful it can be, um, just to kind of put something, even if it's just out into the ether, even if it's just taking that Instagram account and posting something to your stories, and not necessarily expecting that somebody's going to respond to it or message you or whatever, but that you're actually taking the time to get it out of your system, to get it off your chest, to, for lack of a better way of doing it, saying it out loud. um I think can be such a relief in a lot of ways. And you never know who else you're helping by
True.
putting it out there, making those statements, and somebody else who sees that story or whatever, even if they don't respond, because again, maybe
It
they're
might
not
give them the
comfortable doing it.
courage. Yeah, it might
Yeah.
give them the courage to put something out there themselves.
But it also might just let them know that they're not the only person going through what they're going through. They may be feeling something similar or thinking something similar and feeling like they're alone. So Um, we're not gonna like dwell too long on it, but again, I just kind of want to take a moment to put a stamp on the importance of taking a moment for yourself. So, whether it means regardless of how your day was, you dedicate 10 minutes to like sitting in front of the television and playing a game, or spending an extra 10 minutes in the shower or in the bath. You know what I mean? Or closing the door in the bathroom, even though you're not using the bathroom, and maybe doom scrolling for 5 minutes just so you get a moment away. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
sometimes you do have to find a way to exercise a little bit of control that gives you back some of what you want and try to do something that makes you happy or puts a smile on your own face um in those moments so that you know can kind of woosah and come back to it. So if you come home from work and you need to park and sit in the car
Right.
for an extra 10 minutes and just let that song play, let it play. You know what I mean? Sing along, turn it up, sing it loud. You know what I mean? Whatever. Just try to make sure you take, those moments for yourself. Go on Instagram and look up the account called Kids Getting Hurt and just watch that joint for like 10 minutes. I am telling you. I'm telling you.
Some good stuff there.
I might be sick, but that joint is funny. It's so funny.
Oh, it is.
Watching kids get hurt. Every Tuesday evening, I know after a long day of work, I have you guys to watch and make my day better. Greatly appreciate that, Andrew.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, and glad we can provide that.
Yeah.
So,
And trust me,
you know,
y'all help too. Being in here commenting,
a
laughing,
hundred
joking
percent.
with us.
What up,
Yeah,
Domingo?
y'all help too. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just again, take a moment for yourself. I think normally the message would be, "Hey, check on your friends, check on your people," but like, check on you. Take a moment for yourself. Do something for yourself. Come home, play Mortal Kombat, even if you're bad at it. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of get some of that out of your system. You know what I mean? Take a large piece of blank paper and just draw, just write on it. Just, you know what I mean? Whatever comes to mind, whatever you feel like you're feeling, pick different color pens, whatever. Just do something to allow yourself to get some of that out of your system. You would be very surprised how helpful something that sounds so silly, how helpful it can really be to just get, give you a moment of solace. So, having said that, we're gonna move on with the show. Ty, if you think for even a moment, dog, we're not gonna talk about this BS right here, or we're gonna talk about it. But we're gonna make you wait to the end of the show since you normally don't get here until way
Until
later
the end of the
anyway.
show.
I'm happy you here, Tardy Ty. Oh, but we're going to get to it. And no, it should not be the topic of the show, but it is going to be a topic of discussion. First things first, Sin.
Yes, sir.
Helldivers 2.
I need it in my life.
Do you? Listen,
I
we
still,
have
I still,
talked about
I,
this game
I still would have played so bad.
so many times. It is on the most wanted list, kind of
Yes.
right now. I just kind of refuse to give Sony any money to play online because I just don't. It would be the only thing I'm playing online, and I know it's not going to last that long. I'm not saying we won't have a great time,
Yeah.
but I'm not really willing to give them, the money to do it. However, we're gonna talk some numbers about Helldivers because Helldivers has been for PlayStation what I would easily define as a runaway success.
Yes.
Completely out of left field, not developed in house, developed by Arrowhead Studio, published by PlayStation. Um, game's been out for 3 months, and just before the weekend, Sony made the announcement that, hold on, let me walk this back a little bit. I need to kind of talk about that runaway success for a moment. So this is the very first game for a PlayStation platform that has ever been released both on PC and PlayStation at the same time. And the PC side of it is the piece that is really winning folks over. The Steam sales for this game have been incredible. And so before I get into what happened for the weekend, I just want to put some things in perspective, starting with the fact that according to Circana, which is, they used to be called MPD. They did all of they track all video game sales, console sales, all that kind of stuff. So when you take the PlayStation sales and the Steam sales, the PC sales for Helldivers 2, Helldivers 2 is ranked number 7 in all-time PlayStation published games, period.
Wow.
In the entire PlayStation history,
That's saying something.
ranked number 7.
That's a long history.
If you remove the PC sales, it doesn't even break the top 20.
Okay, interesting. So PC's working well for them.
Oh, that's millions and millions and millions of people,
Yeah.
right? So, just before the weekend hit, Sony announced that if you are playing on PC, you will be required to link a PlayStation Network account to your Helldivers game in order to play the game. You won't be able to play it if you don't link your PlayStation Network account. Now, many of the PC players don't have a PlayStation, don't care about PlayStation or console gaming, and they don't have a PlayStation Network account. And there were plenty of people who were very angry about the idea of now being told that a game that they purchased, that they already own, have hundreds of hours in, will now be unplayable for them if they don't go and create a PlayStation account and then link that account back to the game. Understandable, right, Sin?
Sure.
I mean, if I'm PlayStation, I want these people's information.
Yeah.
I want them in my ecosystem.
Yes.
I want their first name, last name, email address, sex, race, date of birth, and probably their Steam name. Because whatever their Steam name is probably going to be very close to whatever their
Their PSN.
PlayStation name is
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah.
But also, they're going to be linked. So now that information is tied together. And I want you in my ecosystem. We're missing out on all these people that we could have this information for. However, not only were people upset because, let me also make this very clear. From the very beginning, when you make the purchase of the game, when you start the game, it tells you you don't have to link it now. But in the future, there will be an update and you will have to link those accounts.
Oh, okay. Then so they gave y'all a heads up.
Told everybody.
Yeah.
Not a single person who bought it or who's playing it didn't sign the EULA and didn't see that you were told up front
Yeah.
you were going to have to do this.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, this is not an issue.
Yeah, they told, especially if that. Like, I get the idea of you purchase the game, you're playing it, and now they just hit you out of nowhere with it. I can
Right.
understand that, but if you click I accept and didn't take the time to go over it, they told you right there it was going to happen. So it is what it is. That's on y'all.
100%. Now, I'm not going to say to a lot of people it doesn't feel like a bait and switch. And here's why. It's clearly unnecessary. You don't need to have a PlayStation account in order to play the game. The game works
Obviously,
perfectly fine,
yeah, obviously,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Do you know what Sony's reason was for telling people that they needed to have a PlayStation account linked?
I can only imagine with Sony, but what did they tell them?
Oh, their safety and security. For your safety and security of your information and so forth, you need to link your PlayStation account.
No, no, that's not why. You can easily say we want y'all in our ecosystem. If you're playing a PlayStation game, we want you to be signed into a PlayStation network. That is it. You're playing a PlayStation Studios game. That's all we ask. Just be signed into the network.
But they didn't.
y'all,
They
y'all had to
didn't do
come out
that.
with that obvious lie, right?
Bro, it's the same reason that Sony gave for why you couldn't do crossplay on Fortnite.
Still
Remember?
one of my
Your
favorite moments
safety.
in gaming history.
What are you talking about? We got to
Epic,
protect the kids.
Epic
We
Center for
can't.
real. Flick that switch. Oops, our bad.
Yeah. Like,
But it works. Yeah.
so again, people are upset about this because you're telling them that it's a thing that they need to do, and you're taking something away from them that you've already given them. I'm not saying that people aren't wrong because they did tell you at some point it's going to happen and you're going to need to do it.
Mhm.
So what they did was they made it so starting on last Friday, if you were new to the game, if you were purchasing the game on PC, you couldn't play it without
Without logging in.
having it right.
Yeah.
They gave people who already had the game to the end of the month. So you had till May 30th. And by May 30th, you needed to link your account.
Okay.
Okay. But PC people be PC peopling.
Yeah, they're not happy. They don't want to.
And they went on Steam and review bombed the B and Jesus
Mm-hmm.
out of this game. I mean, like, beat this joint up. That's right. Sony is synonymous with safety and security, Heather. Can't you
Mm-hmm.
tell? Um, so they not only did they do that, but here's the other thing that people's complaint was. There are over 100 countries where PlayStation Network is not available. There is no PlayStation Network. So people were literally asking
What
in the
happens?
chat,
What
on the
happens in those
PlayStation
territories?
blog, asking the Helldivers developers, which, by the way, Arrowhead had nothing to do with this. This is a Sony decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arrowhead knew about it, but it wasn't a thing they were doing, right? They actually suggested to people that they go online and let them know how they felt about it. Okay. But people are asking, so what's supposed to happen if I'm in a country that doesn't have PlayStation, that doesn't have PlayStation Network? You just telling me I can't play this game anymore? It's not available. And their response to that was, we don't know.
That's not a good
Uh,
response. You don't tell the consumers you don't have an answer for that. Y'all should have already had that set up on the table when you decided to pull the trigger on this.
hey, dog, real talk. It should have been ready to go when they launched the game.
Yeah. Yeah. If this is what is a thing that they wanted, absolutely.
But again, Sony is learning this whole live games as a service thing. Sony is learning releasing on PC and PlayStation at the same time,
Mhm.
right? So over the weekend, Steam delisted the game in 177 countries. Just pulled the joint off the store and offered refunds to everybody who bought the game, even though they've been playing the joint. They didn't care. You know, normally it's like you can only get a refund if you've played less than 2 hours and you haven't
Yeah.
owned it for more than 2 weeks. They were like, nah, we refunding everything. All
Mhm.
177 countries, dog. They delisted it.
That is bad for Sony.
So yesterday, Sony was like, hey, you know what, dog?
I bet. We thought about it, and nah, y'all go ahead and keep playing the game. Is it something like that? Something along those lines.
Hey, dog, I'm gonna read you the tweet.
Upon further review,
We've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans.
Y'all, eat it with this one. If you want to roll that out, do it on the next one, but be ready off the jump. Whatever PlayStation Studio game you want to bring to PC, have whatever plan that is ready off the jump.
So well, we're going to talk about that next. Because guess what's getting ready to come out on PC?
What is it?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, y'all better link that. Y'all better say something up
and so people were like, "You telling me I'm gonna have to link my account?" Nah. Let me let you know that the studio behind Ghost of Tsushima immediately was like, "We just want y'all to know, you don't have to link your account to play the single player portion of the game."
Okay.
But if you want to play the multiplayer version portion of the game, you have to link your account.
That's fine.
I think that's fair.
That's fine, yeah.
I think that's totally fine, right? So maybe it's all good and it won't be a problem. Maybe they'll see way less sales because of it, but also you're talking about what is technically a single player game that has a multiplayer element to it, and it's cool. Like, you know, we had a good time playing that joint. So like,
we can get back to it whenever. Yeah,
we can get back to it if I ever decide to give PlayStation Network my money again. You know, the that's how it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you start thinking about the kinds of franchises that PlayStation has generally had, they are almost all single player games. And so there really shouldn't be a need to link a PlayStation account. But I do think that there is something that, you know, going forward that says if you already either have a PlayStation or you are considering buying one of these games and maybe you just feel so inclined to like, well, let me try out the multiplayer. I'll link a PlayStation account or whatever. Well, now you're in the ecosystem. Now they know you're playing. And now when the next game does come out, the next God of War, whatever game they do decide to put there, even if it is a single player game, if you're playing it on Steam, well, that Steam account is still technically linked to a PlayStation account, right? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're talking to each other in game, but it's already there, right? And the information is there and they can kind of build it, you know, going forward. I just think they tried to force this, like shoehorn, like, oh my goodness, look how many people, we got to do something. You know what I mean? And I guess, yes, it was part of the plan all along. But the way they went about doing it and trying to force it and then coming up with this BS story of like, oh, well, for your own safety and security. Come on, dog.
PC players, they're good.
Their safety and security, bro. Like what they got running on their joint, they already like, you know.
Yeah, don't try that.
They like, you know, you already trying to stop us from modding and cheating and whatever. Like we in here, like you're not, you know what I mean? Like you're not teaching us nothing, bro. Like I don't. It's an interesting thought, right? That, you know, you have a company that has dominated for so long in the console space and is so used to being able to force their consumers to do whatever they want, because the only place you could do anything was on platforms that they had complete control over. And they don't have control over PC. They don't have control over Steam. And so this is the difference in Sony saying to you, no, if you want to play this game, you must buy a PlayStation 5. Get rid of the old generation. We want to sell new units and we want to sell new games. Even though, yes, no, it'll actually work and it's totally fine. And you know what I mean? And whatever. Like, they're used to having that kind of control and just being able to tell you, no, if you want to do this, you got to do it this way because we in charge and you don't have a choice. You're in our house when you're playing with our console and our games. You know what I mean? Or whatever. And this is just like, it's really it is a really important lesson for them to learn
Yeah.
in this space, that they either got to get out way ahead of it, right?
If you
Or they're
want,
just going to have to understand that they're going to have to deal with things that they just don't have full control over.
yeah, if you want to get this PC money from these people that play games on PC, that's a whole different group that you haven't dealt with yet. Like they have their own ways of doing things. They play PC for a reason. So
Yep.
if you want to come up them with those tactics you were just talking about, it is not going to fly over there with that group. As you saw, refunded what 177 countries, like
177
paying all that
countries
money
took it
back
off the store.
because of something that, like you said, something you're so used to doing on your own with your console. It just doesn't fly. It is a
Again,
lesson
think
learned.
think about the difference in what that means. And again, think about what a, a game like Helldivers means to PlayStation. And for real, everybody who's a PlayStation consumer, right? That has kind of shield at, say, an Xbox for being like, well, we're gonna put our games on PC and on Xbox. You know what I mean? And we're gonna, and that exclusivity thing kind of going away and people being upset about it or whatever. But nah, like, you want these companies to continue to make money so they can continue to survive. They've got to go find a new audience. The audience
Mm-hmm.
isn't growing just on console. More people aren't buying consoles. So how do you do that? You got to get out there and see it. And again, these super Sony fanboys are probably all over this game playing Helldivers. But also, most of them also act like they don't want these live service games. They only want the single player story driven Uncharted and what have you. And so, again, if you just look at the difference in the amount of money and sales that they have when you include PC and what happens to it when you remove that, yeah, the minute Steam's like, all right, well, we'll just delist the joint. And you can't tell people that already have it in this country, they now, in order to play it, have to have a thing that's not available in their country.
Yeah.
That you, as a multi-million-dollar conglomerate, hey mom, overlooked. You overlooked that there are 177 countries where you made this game available, but you did not make PlayStation Network available, but you are requiring PlayStation Network in order to play the game going forward.
Make it make sense, Mark.
Whose job just went on the chopping block?
I don't know, but he walking to his car right now with a cardboard box. It's cleaned off his desk.
Escorted, sir.
Yeah.
Escorted to the cardboard box. And no badge. Badge gone.
No, revoked.
Yeah.
At the cubicle.
Yeah. It's interesting. And again, I just think that, again, these are lessons they're gonna have to take with them and they'll move, forward with it. I think it's just kind of an important piece to just think about what's happening to the industry, and how it's changing and how it needs to change and evolve, and how these companies actually do need to try to reach out beyond the audiences that they think they have built in,
Mm-hmm.
and try to get those audiences elsewhere. On that note, Microsoft announced today they were shutting down 4 of Bethesda Studios. Did you see this news?
Yeah, I know it was people behind Hi-Fi Rush and Redfall. I don't know about the other two.
So Tango Gameworks, which would be Hi-Fi Rush, Evil Within,
Okay.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Okay.
This is the studio that was started by the creator of Resident Evil, Shinji Mikami. Now, Shinji left like right after Hi-Fi Rush released, so he's not even with the company anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna read what that state before I get into like articles and what people are saying about it and whatever. I'm gonna read the actual email that came out from Matt Booty, so that people can so everybody knows exactly what's being said. So I think right now what's happening is on the internet, a lot of things are being thrown around and a lot of pieces of the information are being posted or talked about, but they're not doing it with all of the information. And so I think when you do that, well, the way that people are doing that, it's making it sound a little bit different than what it is. But this email reads as follows. Today, I'm sharing changes we are making to our Bethesda and ZeniMax teams. These changes are grounded in prioritizing high impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds which you have nurtured over many decades. To double down on these franchises and invest to build new ones requires us to look across the business to identify the opportunities that are best positions for success. This reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams will be realigned to others and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us. Here are the changes going into effect. Um, Before we get into the exact changes, I want to talk about what was said there a little bit. Um, a lot of what I am hearing people talk about when they talk about this is the idea of them shutting down studios or reorganizing studios because they want to focus on the big franchises, right? That just,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hearing a lot of people talk about how, well, this sounds so completely counterproductive that it feels like everything that Microsoft and Xbox has said to us, Phil Spencer probably should be losing his job. He's been lying to us. There's this double speak. They're saying, we're interested in giving companies the opportunity to make these kind of artsy things, these, kind of one offs or whatever. Sure, they have the bigger games like an Evil Within, but we want to allow space for them to make a Pentiment. We want to allow space for them to experiment and make something like a Hi-Fi Rush, which then Hi-Fi Rush gets made and it, as a sneaks out and it's this, we're going to call it quote unquote a runaway success. We're at least going to call it a
Yeah.
critical darling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the critics loved it, and it had like 4 million players, though they have never actually spoken about how it did monetarily, but they have spoken about how, the
And they
reach that
even
it
sent
had.
it over to other didn't they send it
PlayStation,
over? Yeah, PlayStation. Yeah.
they just did that like within the last month,
Yeah.
right? So for a lot of people, it's like, well, you do that, it clearly didn't meet the expectation or whatever. So now you release it somewhere else, but then you turn around and you shut the studio down after you said, we want to make space for, people to have ideas like that and do stuff like that. And it's a great idea for Game Pass because it's the kind of thing that's great, to have in that space. But then you turn around and you say that you're shutting down these studios so you can focus on the big franchises. And again, I'll go back to to what it says. It says these changes are grounded in prioritizing high impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds which you have nurtured over many decades. So people see that part and they immediately start to think about the big titles like an Elder Scrolls or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Andrew says sounds like what Activision did and made studios a Call of Duty only developer. Yeah, there was a story that actually came out like yesterday about Tony Hawk himself talking about how when Activision greenlit and did Vicarious Visions made the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake, they also were supposed to be and were already working on 3 and 4. And then when that pitch went to Activision was like, nah, we really rather have them work on Call of Duty. And so a lot of people are upset that we never got it. And it's funny because a lot of people were talking yesterday as that news hit, and they were like, well, it's kind of cool that Microsoft has them now because there's no way we don't get that now. Like, they're definitely going to let them do a Tony Hawk 3 and 4 to be perfect, maybe for a Game Pass thing or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to kind of, again, go back to is that he specifically says to double down on these franchises and invest to build new ones requires us to look across the business and identify opportunities that are best positioned for success. So what that says to me is we're not just shutting down studios that are doing these kind of innovative things or whatever so we can just let's focus on Elder Scrolls and Fallout, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do. We don't have space for Hi-Fi Rushes or something like that anymore. I don't think that's what that says. To me, when you say that and then you follow that up with, we need to do that so that we do have the money to invest in new IP, in these new ideas, and these new things. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Hi-Fi Rush in and of itself never gets a sequel or whatever. It's not as likely, blah, blah, blah. But people are talking about it as if the statement itself means that games like Grounded or something like that don't get to happen anymore. And people are literally like running off at the mouth about, well, oh my gosh, what happens to a studio like Double Fine? Like if I'm Double Fine, I'm quaking in my boots because Double Fine doesn't really make games that are like crazily successful or whatever. Or what's happening with Ninja Theory, who's making a game like Hellblade 2, which comes out in like 2 weeks and it feels like there's no real fanfare around it. And people don't even really seem like they know. And I'm like, well, I don't know, dog. I'm seeing they're posting all kinds of stuff about Hellblade, but
Mm-hmm.
they're concerned, right? Because if that game comes out and it isn't the crazy kind of critical success or whatever, then that studio is clearly going to get shut down. Like the way that people are talking to me is fear mongering and it's kind of overstating, I think, what it is. I do understand the reaction to hearing that a company like Microsoft that has the kind of money that Microsoft has is shuttering studios or doing some kind of restructuring and has already laid other people off. And this is on top of consistently feeling like we're hearing every week that there are more studios laying
Mm-hmm.
people off or closing doors or something like that, right? But if in your statement in the email you're saying we're reprioritizing, but they're also talking about being able to do new IP and stuff like that, I think maybe they could have put something in there about saying that yes, we want to do more Hi-Fi Rush, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you also have to answer to your shareholders and you have, all of that kind of stuff or
Yeah.
whatever, right? But um and as a company, even though Microsoft is making crazy money, most of that money comes from Office. And then that's followed most closely by Azure. You know what I mean? And Xbox is like third or fourth in that line of
Mm-hmm.
things that they do. So some people at the top are going, you know what? This isn't really working. And we're gonna dig into that a little bit. I want to read the rest of the email. Unless you have any thoughts on what I just said, Sin.
No, I think it's more so. I get people are complaining, but I'm thinking it's just Microsoft shutting stuff down and moving people to these other places to work on these bigger IPs that they're talking about, whatever they have in the tuck they're looking at. I think that's more so what it is. Unfortunately, yes, we see these layoffs happening all the time. It's don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. You know what I mean? So I think
Me
that's just
neither. I mean, I think it speaks to a larger issue within the entertainment industry, not just the gaming industry,
mm-hmm,
because you're seeing the same kind of thing happening in movies and with the big streaming services. And we talk about that all the time, right? What's happening with movies or whatever. Like Dune 2 is the biggest movie that's come out in so long and it had this many made this many millions of dollars or whatever, but that joint is already on streaming. Like you could just go right now and watch, you know
watch
what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
Like um today the new Ghostbusters movie came out on streaming, right? So like that joint just came out like 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean, or whatever,
Yeah.
something like that. Like it's not, I just think the industry, like Sony is partnering with another company to try to buy Paramount, like all Paramount's
I saw that.
assets,
Yeah, I saw that.
right? But I'm almost positive that it was all the Paramount movies that got removed specifically from PlayStation. Like if you bought Paramount movies through PlayStation, that license is gone, and anybody who bought that stuff, they just lost all of it, right? Because you don't own it. We had that conversation. That
Mm-hmm.
was maybe like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, something like that. And now they're working with another company to try to buy those assets or buy out Paramount, which again is like Paramount is a huge Hollywood company that has been around for
Yeah.
decades upon decades. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of crazy to think that that's the position that they're in. But the cost of making the kinds of things that we want as entertainment, as consumers, we want more and it costs more to get it, but we don't want to pay more for it because everything else is also more expensive. And so that bubble has to burst at some point. And I think this is just part of what that is, and where we are in entertainment, but specifically in gaming. So Um, here's what he says in the email about what changes are going into effect. So, Arcane Austin, this studio will close, with some members of the team joining other studios to work on projects across Bethesda. Arcane Austin has a history of making impactful and innovative games, and it is a pedigree that everyone should be proud of. Redfall's previous update will be its last as we end all development on the game. The game and its servers will remain online for players to enjoy, and we will provide make good offers to players who purchase the Hero DLC. So again, there was supposed to be like additional heroes or something like that you could get if you bought the DLC. Obviously, they're not going to continue to work on that game. Arcane, Austin, Redfall, a lot of people are talking about Redfall because when the Redfall issue happened, when that game came out, as bad as that was, and let's just call it what it is, it was bad.
Yeah.
Um, there was that, hey, we kept working on Grounded and we kept working on Sea of Thieves, and so we're not going to give up on this. We're going to keep working on it. You know what I mean? And so now to hear this, I think a lot of people feel like we just like we were just lied to. Like Microsoft was just like, yeah, we're gonna keep at it, we're gonna keep pushing. And I don't believe that they intended for that to be a falsehood, but
Or maybe
does
looking
it
at it,
make sense?
there was like, you know what? There's other stuff that we could be getting together. We can work on the fix. It's too far going for this one. Maybe they had to pull that trigger and make that decision.
I mean, yeah, I would imagine, right, that you are putting the time and effort into trying to improve it, and it has seen improvements and make it better. But as you're doing that and you're spending resources to do it, you're not seeing those numbers go up. And so at some point you have to go, all right, yeah, look, we said we were going to keep at it, and we did keep at it, but it didn't get any better. We didn't bring more people in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we couldn't actually make good on the DLC because we had to spend that money fixing the game. Right. So at some point, it just kind of makes sense to me
Yeah.
for that to happen. Alpha Dog Studios. This studio will also close. We appreciate the team's creativity in bringing Doom to new players. Mighty Doom will be sunset on August 7th and will be turning off the ability for players to make purchases in the game. So Alpha Dog Studios was a mobile developer that they acquired when they acquired ZeniMax along with Bethesda. And so, they've been quietly working on stuff again, like Doom, Mighty Doom, which I can't, like, I didn't play it, but I don't play mobile games. So like, I don't know, I don't know what that really means.
Neither do I.
Tango Gameworks. Tango Gameworks will also close. We are thankful for their contributions to Bethesda and players around the world. Hi-Fi Rush will continue to be available to players on the platforms it is today. This is probably, outside of Arcane Austin, I think this is the thing that hurts people the most because of a couple of things. First, I think is, again, what people assumed was the success of Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush was able to boast that they had up to 4 million players. How many of those players were Game Pass and weren't actually technically paid?
Yeah.
What size was the team that actually worked on that game and put that game out, right? And so when you have a studio that is known for the Evil Within 2, those are probably the biggest games, right? I would say that those games are probably relatively successful. However, then you have Ghostwire Tokyo, which, didn't set the world on fire. And as far as I can tell, that game was in development at the same time as Hi-Fi Rush, which means that you had a smaller set of individuals from within that company that were making Hi-Fi Rush. You can't take that entire studio and make another Hi-Fi Rush. You have to have them doing something else besides Hi-Fi Rush. So to me, and again, it would be inside baseball, but we just don't have insight to that. To me, if I'm the person in charge, if I'm Matt Booty and I go to that studio, and inside that studio, you haven't had a hit since, let's say, the Evil Within 2 that was technically commercially successful. You have, let's just call it a flop in Ghostwire Tokyo.
Okay.
Even when it finally eventually made its way over to Xbox and was on Game Pass or whatever, like I tried it. I wasn't that impressed. It, whatever. And then you have Hi-Fi Rush, which is a game that's much smaller and costs a lot less to make, but you only have a few people working within that entire company that worked on that game and
Mhm.
made that game what it is. Even if you consider that game to be a runaway success, let's just say, and there was a tweet from Aaron Greenberg that said that this game hit all the metrics. Like it exceeded our expectations across all metrics. To me, that says that money, players, all of the above,
Yeah.
accolades, all of the above.
Yeah.
But what does that really mean? How much did it cost to make that game? How many people realistically do you need to make another one of those games? And can you sustain an entire studio as large as Tango Gameworks based on the success of just that one?
Mhm.
Tyrone said, I really liked all those games too. So disappointed. I love playing Ghostwire. You like one of 12 people that like Ghostwire. Nah. I mean, here's the thing. I think Ghostwire Tokyo was a cool concept. I think it was a beautiful looking game.
It was.
But again, regardless of that, it didn't set the world on fire. It didn't do the numbers that it needed to do in order for it to be successful and to sustain
Yeah.
that company, right? Then you have something that's tiny that comes out behind it like a hi-fi rush that isn't as expensive to make, but also isn't making as much money, does more or less set the world on fire, but did it really do the numbers necessary? It couldn't have. I can't imagine at all that that game made enough money to fund that entire studio. Now,
Absolutely.
the other thing that makes people upset about this is that Microsoft has been working so hard to get a foothold in Japan, and they just shut down the only studio they have that's in Japan, which is Tango Gameworks, right? Yeesh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? At the same time, I don't know what's really Japanese about the games they make. I mean, I guess
Except for Tokyo Ghostwire, like it's nothing. Yeah.
I'm just
That was
saying
it.
they're not doing JRPGs, which is really the thing that Microsoft is missing in terms of the Japanese side of things, right? In terms of
Yes.
like a studio they own. They have plenty of studios that make Western RPGs. They got Western RPGs flying out
Yeah.
every orifice. Japanese joints, they're fighting for. And even though I think there are people who really like the Evil Within and it did do relatively well,
I mean, it did enough to get
it's
a
not
sequel, so okay.
it's not doing Capcom numbers. It's not doing Resident Evil numbers.
No,
If
no.
they were to announce another Evil Within, if they was to announce an Evil Within 3 and Capcom this summer announces Resident Evil 9,
Nobody's gonna think about Evil Within. Not even a
it'll
little bit.
it'll it'll do okay, but like
Yeah.
again, do you keep pouring money into that? Like to me, that just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't. It doesn't suck any less, but it doesn't make sense. And I feel like that studio had to know they were bleeding money, even if they did do something successful. That's just, what it is. Um, Roundhouse Games. The team at Roundhouse Games will be joining ZeniMax Online Studios. Roundhouse has played a key role in many of our recent game launches, and bringing them into ZOS, ZeniMax Online Studios, to work on the Elder Scrolls Online will mean we can do even more to grow the world that millions of players call home. Again, ASIN.
Yeah.
Who is Roundhouse Games?
Don't know.
Oh, all right. I'm just going to leave it at that. Then it says, with this consolidation of our Bethesda Studio teams, so that we can invest more deeply in our portfolio of games and new IP, a small number of roles across select Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will also be eliminated. So, not the studios, it's other things besides that. Those whose roles will be impacted will be notified today, and we ask that you please treat your departing colleagues with respect and compassion. We will provide our full support to those who are impacted in today's notifications and through their transitions, including severance benefits informed by local laws. These changes are not a reflection of the creativity and skill of the talented individuals at these teams or the risks they took to try new things. I acknowledge that these changes are also disruptive to the various support teams across ZeniMax and Bethesda that bring our games to market. We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games. Bethesda remains one of the key pillars of Xbox with a strong portfolio of amazing games and thriving communities. As we look to the future, there is an impressive lineup of games on the horizon. In 2024 alone, we have Starfield Shattered Space, Fallout 76 Skyline Valley, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and The Elder Scrolls Online's Golden Road. As we align our plans and resources to best set ourselves up for success in this complex and changing industry, our teams across Arcane Leon, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, Machine Games, ZeniMax Online Studios, and the Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will be well positioned to build new IP, explore new game concepts, and expand on our existing franchises. Matt. So again, if you read the email all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like a lot of what people are kind of going nuts about, oh, all the creativity they said that they were trying to push and all that. Yeah, but there still has to be a, we need this. If Ghostwire Tokyo came out and was a crazy hit success, and then behind that you did a Hi-Fi Rush, there's money in the bank to say, all right, well, cool. Clearly, we're going to do a Hi-Fi Rush too. We also have to have a team that can work on the next Ghostwire Tokyo, or we can use the money that came from Ghostwire Tokyo to make the next Evil Within.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since we no longer have the creator of the Evil Within franchise with the company anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That person left. So who's doing that? Right? And then the person who did Ghostwire Tokyo, cool, great concept. It didn't do well. Where's the money coming from to keep paying these people?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You I don't like I understand that Microsoft is a $1 trillion company, right? That turned a 20% profit this year. Like they just announced their numbers like last week or the week before. But you can't run a business by robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if that studio isn't turning a profit, you can't pull profits from another studio
Yeah.
who should rightfully be able to use that money
Or
to
or
fund their
even
own games.
or even reach outside the Xbox division. Well, pull some money from Azure. We can use that to make it.
Yeah, go
No,
get some of
that's
that.
yeah. It's
Go
not
get some
how.
of that. Nah,
Not,
they use that money to buy studios, not to keep them running.
right.
I'm just saying, like, that doesn't make sense. And I understand that it feels like that's how it should be. Like, people are like, nah, just some of these executives need to take a pay cut. Well, I don't disagree with that. Like, you don't necessarily need to be paying all these people at the top as much as they're getting paid to do what they do when other people who are doing all of the creative stuff, but like
Mhm.
at some point, something's got to give. I'm not saying it's right, but anytime you have to cross creativity with business, dollars will always win.
Yep.
It is sad but true. Dollars will always win. Period. You can't. Time is money. Clock is ticking. So now I'm like, all right, Slim. I'm looking at you, the coalition. Where's that Gears of War joint at? Where is Perfect Dark? Where is
Fable.
Fable? Where, like, bro, to me, this is like, all right, look, these joints aren't working. We still have very strong IP and so forth within Bethesda. And Bethesda basically had operated independently, like separate from Microsoft. Like, Microsoft really wasn't doing the oversight thing.
Mhm.
That's a lesson that Microsoft had to learn the hard way. That's what caused Redfall to be what Redfall was. So when people are like, oh, Microsoft, you're not doing your job, admittedly, Phil Spencer's like, we allowed for ZeniMax and for Bethesda to oversee their own stuff. And we didn't really look in, and we didn't necessarily offer our resources, and we didn't necessarily do the things that we could have done to maybe help them get this game out so that it came out in a state that was much better than the state it released in. Right. So we're going to do better about that. But what that means is now we're really looking.
Yeah, stuff like this. Yeah.
And since we're looking,
some of this ain't
this
right.
ain't working.
Yeah, we got to fix this. Yeah.
Which is exactly what we asked for without knowing that's what we asked for. How could you let Redfall come out in this state? And it's like, I feel like people's mindset is like, you should have been just pouring dollars into this, Microsoft, to make it happen and make it a hit and give us, and maybe, I'm sure there was a budget somewhere where they could have been like, well, yeah. But like, Bethesda and ZeniMax have always had their own budgets. The question for me is, if Microsoft had never purchased ZeniMax, would Tango Gameworks still exist today? Would they have sold the company back to a Japanese company, nixed it all together? For that matter, does a Hi-Fi Rush even happen?
Not sure.
That's where I'm at. But these companies that are under the Microsoft banner now, and Matt Booty, who now is the person in the position who has to look at it and say, yeah, unfortunately, we got to get rid of this. Let's call it dead weight. That's a bad way to say it, but let's call it dead weight. If Microsoft wasn't in charge, what would whoever the owner of ZeniMax was, rest his soul, what would he have done? Would he have shut those studios down? Would he have closed them? Say, you know what? We're bleeding money with Tango. It's not working. We can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get rid of them. This Doom joint that we put out, it's not working. And, you know, we tried it. It's bleeding money. We're going to fold them into something else. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know, this studio, we appreciate what you did. You've helped us launch all this other stuff. Now you're going to keep helping us launch stuff. You're going to help us launch the next part of Elder Scrolls Online, and we're going to move you into that team. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's a part of me that honestly believes that, like, if it wasn't for the fact that Microsoft owns this company, there's a belief, like, people are talking like, oh, the consolidation of the gaming industry is part of what the problem is. It is. But if there was never Microsoft money involved in the first place, it's possible none of this happens. We don't get it, and then we lose these studios anyway. Like, I don't think that this is a thing that happens because Microsoft is running it. I do think that people are upset because they felt like, because Microsoft seems like they have endless money, we can just go waste it.
Yeah, we can just,
you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, dog. Like, there's a very, like, rapper mentality, I feel like, within the gaming community. Like, look, for most people who are playing Xbox games or who like Bethesda games, they don't even know this happened. They don't even care. They have no idea. It's not in their timeline on Twitter. It's not, there's no hashtags they're looking, they don't give a, it doesn't even affect them. It don't matter to them, right? They just buy games when they see a cool game, and that's it. They're not into the behind the scenes and the nitty gritty and all that or whatever. Like, it's people who don't even know that Microsoft own them. So it doesn't really matter. There's a very small community that is very vocal, that, like, knows the kind of stuff that we know and talks about this stuff the way that we talk about it or thinks about it at all. Right? But having said that, we also have a very, like, hip hop rapper show off mentality when it comes to, like, how we see our entertainment and the things that we want, right? And so it's like, if your favorite artist gets dropped from his label, maybe there's some industry beef in there somewhere, but probably the joint Slim didn't sell records. You understand what I'm saying? And you can blame that any way you want. Oh, the marketing wasn't there. Well, how much does the marketing cost? Right? Like, all of that stuff still matters, but, like, there's this mentality of like, well, they got so much money. And you see these videos and they just throwing dollars in the air. No, dog, somebody picks all of that up. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
somebody goes
Somebody
through
gets that bill.
with
Yeah,
a vacuum. Richie Rich with a vacuum is getting all of that cash back. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not
yeah.
saying there aren't rappers and people with money who are literally just going in the strip club and throwing money or whatever, or quote unquote throwing money away on cars or watches or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, there is a part of the business that exists in that world that says that if you don't look like you have a lot of money, make a lot of money, legally or illegally, and throw a lot of money, you can't be successful because nobody will believe you or will follow you or will buy your records or stream your music, right? Because you're fake or you're a fraud or something like that. The idea that Microsoft, because Microsoft has trillions of dollars, let's say billions, they're $1 trillion company, but let's just say in the cash portfolio portion of it, there's billions of dollars there. The fact that that money exists doesn't mean that you can just go like, nah, just, you know what? For certain things, yep, it's gonna cost us this much to fix the red ring of death. We don't got no choice, dog. Put that money in it,
Right.
right? But like, nah, you can't just let's go out here and save every studio that might be floundering. Like that just doesn't make sense. Because if that was the case, then they would just be buying studios
Yeah,
regardless of what
left
they
and
were
right.
doing. Just be like, that what you're doing looks cool. Let's just buy you, and then we'll just give you infinite money so you can keep making these cool indie games. And even though you're not really indie anymore, but
Yeah,
we're gonna let you act like an indie, you know, whatever. Like that's not how it works. There's a possibility that Microsoft wouldn't want anything to do with Tango GameWorks if it wasn't already part of the Bethesda portfolio when they
tied
bought
to yeah.
Cinemax. Like we always say Bethesda, but they didn't buy Bethesda. They bought ZeniMax. They bought a magazine company that has a marketing company and a publishing company,
Yeah,
and
and
like,
just picked up everything within it. Yeah,
yeah, they bought it. Like they bought the portfolio. Some of the stuff in that joint. Listen, Sin, do you have a favorite artist like that draws like a artist like whose artwork you just love?
I'm pretty sure I do. I can't think of it offhand, but
So
I'm
let's just say,
positive I do.
your favorite artist is Jerry the Franchise Gaylord,
That's, you know what? That's a good choice. Let's go with that.
good friend of ours, right?
Yeah.
And let's just say you are in a monetary position to purchase Jerry's entire portfolio, all of his artwork. Like you can literally just buy, how we go to the tables at a con and you see their portfolios on the table or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they got the joints and you flipping through it and blah, 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 whatever, and you looking for the joints that you like or whatever. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just say that you're financially in a place where you just go to the table and you can just buy the whole table or
Right.
all the art in this portfolio. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say you did that. You bring it all home. And once you get home, even though you looked at it beforehand, right? Before you made the purchase,
Mm-hmm.
you bring it home. Now you're flipping through it and you're looking at it, right? But this dude is an incredible artist. I love his style. I love his use of color. I love how dynamic and free flowing like his artwork is. Hey, but this Superman joint, that joint gotta go.
What?
This Green Lantern, that joint gotta go. This Cyclops piece right here, man, that joint
Get it
gotta
out of
go.
here.
Right? Just because you like the work that somebody does doesn't mean that everything in their portfolio is something you like or that
Right.
works for you or that makes sense to you. Now, that doesn't mean that if you weren't buying it to flip it and sell it, there aren't plenty of people who love Superman who would buy
Yeah.
every Superman thing he does, right? Because it's
Right.
not just going to be Clark Kent. It's going to be Steel. It's going to be, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be
Yeah.
all of the Supermen,
Yes. Superboy, all of them.
all of them. And you hate them all.
Every
And
last
they
one of
all
them.
going to be in there. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that it all works for you. Just because you have the money frivolously to buy it all. So you buy it all, right? If you said to him, here's the deal, I'll give you $100,000 for everything on the table except the Superman stuff. And he was like, it's a package deal. All right. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you negotiate down a little. You're giving me extra, but I don't want it. 90,000. You know what I'm saying? Right? All right. I'm gonna take it. So just because they bought it and it's there, and there are some franchises there that exist, and you're thinking about what can you do with your Game Pass portfolio? Well, now there are games, even if the studio doesn't exist, we still own the rights. We still have the game. We can still have it in Game Pass, and it's still something we can offer to people. It's still there. You know what I'm saying? So it's there. So like here you are now, proud owner of Jerry the Franchise Gaylord's entire portfolio. And you say, I'm going to display it, all of it, for everybody. And you have your favorite pieces. But there are going to be people that walk in that are drawn to the Superman pieces.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. There are people like Ty who's like, man, Ghostwire Tokyo. I enjoyed that. Okay. Okay. So what? You know what I'm saying? Cool. Right? So there is something in it for everybody. But again, that's part of what the difference in art and creativity and crossing that with business. That's where those two things collide. And you really have to think about what kind of money do you really put into what is it costing Microsoft to port those games, to port Hi-Fi Rush to PlayStation and to Switch? And do they see the return on that investment? By trying to put it out there and put it in front of more people, and it's great because more people can play it or whatever, it doesn't work getting enough people. You're not going to get more people in the Game Pass because of it. So it's cool, but it ain't that great. What do you do?
Yeah.
The equivalent of jokes in Pokemon. I mean, kind of. Right? I mean, even jokes don't like all the Pokemon. And he'll tell you.
Yeah, the newer ones ain't his thing.
Digimon is superior, he'll tell you. But I don't hear him talk about it. It's not his thing. I don't see him with Digimon gear. You know what I'm saying?
Get excited once in a while when we see something at somebody's table at a con, but
I like Spider-Man, but I don't like everything Spider-Man. I mean, I see so much Spider-Man that like I don't like everybody's work. I don't like everything that somebody does with the character. I don't like all the Spider-Man stories. There's 1,000 different Spider people. I don't like them all. It's cool that they exist. I don't like them all.
Right.
I just don't think we need a Spider Horse.
Really don't.
It's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's an anime you don't like, right, Sam?
Yeah, same thing with One Piece. When we go around, I don't buy everything One Piece that I see. Certain
100%.
pieces of art speak to me, certain don't. That's all it is. I appreciate seeing it, but
right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even if you had unlimited money, would you buy everything One Piece you saw?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
That's my point. Just because it seems like Microsoft has unlimited money, because they have quote unquote trillions of dollars, doesn't mean that everything that they could just, just put some more money in that joint.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any kind of sense.
It's
business wise, financially, nothing.
It doesn't make sense. So like, I feel really bad for the people who are laid off, right? And who,
of course,
at least Microsoft managed to send an email out to get it to people technically before the media got it announced, because that's what's been happening a lot, is that internal email or whatever leaks beforehand or something like that, right?
Yeah.
They got to know at this point that the way that stuff is happening, it's going to get out, right? There's no way for it to not get out. Still, all right, we made a decision. This is what we're doing.
No, I wouldn't, Marcus. Because I only have one of her shirts.
I'm going to tell you something. I watched a joint the other day when mommy was reacting to the original version of her being in 2K24. And she was like, ooh, I used to look like that. Like, yeah, that's what you look like. I ain't gonna lie. The blonde joint was kind of cooking, but it ain't this joint.
Nah, it ain't mommy. Nah, that was Rhea Ripley.
It was Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, mommy's a whole different beast.
That was double R. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not Rough Riders either.
Double R.
All right, look, man. Let's have a little fun. You cool with that?
Of course, always.
All right, look, if you're not old enough, don't pay attention to this because I don't want nobody to get upset.
Oh, I just saw this. That's my man.
You have chosen war with a god.
No, you have.
Now it's time for me to boot up Mortal Kombat. I'm waiting for him. Let's go. Let's go.
Are you gonna boot that up?
Yes.
Okay. When's the last time you played that joint?
Before any of the DLC characters came out.
Dang.
So I gotta go download all them. Yeah, I gotta download all them. Yeah, I haven't touched it.
You got that kind of space on your hard drive? I know you just re-downloaded Destiny 2.
No, I do not. So it ain't gonna be. I gotta figure something else. Something gotta get beat so I can delete it.
You better figure it out, bro. All right, listen. This is the part that Ty has been waiting for. I decided to save this for last. So, James Gunn released this first image of Superman from the new Superman movie. And, you know, I just want to get some honest thoughts about it. I have my own. Sin, I'm going to let you start.
I saw it and I literally felt nothing. Like, just like, I was like, oh, okay. That's Superman. That's his outfit. Okay. Like, I don't, it's Superman. Like, regardless of I hate him, but it's okay in my opinion at best. Like, it's okay. Like, nothing about it makes me like, oh, that's a dope suit or anything like that. Like, it's cool. All right. That's about all I got. Yeah, nothing.
I want to tell you, I don't like this. I am intrigued. I don't know where this is going. I don't like the Superman Boy Scout hair swoop. I'm not a fan of that.
You don't like the swoop?
Don't like the swoop. I think we're past that. I think we're not. I just feel like my man can have a stylist now.
It does look like that when I see it, Marcus.
Godzilla destroying the Death Star in the background. So here's my problem with this piece of art. Who is this man? Are you telling me that Clark Superman Kent is nonchalantly putting on his boots while the world above Metropolis is going to pieces?
You know why? No, I can't say that. It's language. Keep the language there.
That's what this says to me. This is not a piece that says, oh, this is a Superman who jumps to action, takes care of business, and cares about Metropolis. It looks like he's a little dirty, like he's been fighting already. Like the essence of it is kind of messed up, you know, whatever.
I'm tired. I'll get there when I get there. Look.
So maybe, just maybe, we are leaning towards an injustice.
You think?
I don't. But I am trying to give the benefit of the doubt to how nonchalant. Like, to me, otherwise, this is just a stupid piece of artwork. Because if this movie comes out and Superman is Superman, if he is just like, hey, everything that's popping. Metropolis is my city. I protect the city at all costs. Then that man is not. Come on, man. This man changed clothes in the phone booth. He supposed to put that thing on and get it popping. He literally looked like he
just got called into work. That's him getting dressed slowly. Like,
He looks like he just got finished having a good session with Lois Lane. And he's sitting in her chair, putting his suit back on. I get there when I get there. Like, look at him. Dog, that's not his chair. This is not his house. This is not his apartment. That's not his furniture. He is in Lois Lane house.
Facts.
Or somebody's house. He in some woman's home.
There we go. We'll go with that.
Got done putting his drawers back on the outside of his suit.
He better not.
Dirty as no, you can look. You don't see the little belt like right there.
I wasn't trying to stare at his crotch, so
I'm not looking at his hand is in front of that. I'm just saying, like, he's very slowly, like, look how he's looking down as he's putting his boots on. Like, he's just like,
yeah, he tired of this.
That was cool.
Yeah, we don't want to go back out there.
I don't like it.
He clocked out. He got home, and they told him to come back to the office. There's more work to be done.
No, that's not his house.
He's
not at home.
He got to somebody's house.
My man was in the middle of a session, and it started popping off out there in the streets, and he was like, "I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back."
Oh.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Nothing of like I know that like when you put out a promotional piece like this, like it's supposed to like get you a first look at like what the suit really looks like and all that or whatever. And yep, people are talking about that. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of that because Superman suit is Superman suit. It always looks like Superman suit. It doesn't really matter. Draws on the outside. I'm down. Right?
Can't wait, Ty.
Ty said, "Oh, I missed to start this amazing conversation about the Man of Steel. Let me tell you about it, Ty. Want me to start over? This is a terrible promotional shot. This is a man who does not care about Metropolis going to war right behind him outside Lois Lane window. You know how I know this is happening in real time? Because the pink is reflecting off the wall behind him, and you can see it reflecting off his suit. He does not care. My man is so nonchalantly putting his boots on. Like, I get there when I get there. I don't care about this. Stop the hate. It's beautiful. It is. It's a beautiful piece of artwork. But it's a very telling / damning
down what's going on
story about. Yeah, you look at what's going on in this story and tell me this man isn't upset because he just got interrupted while he was in the middle of a session with Lois Lane doing something he don't have no business doing with Lois Lane because he's Superman. He don't do that kind of thing.
No, he had business.
But clearly, this Superman, I'm telling you, the only way this right here is feeling like, oh, I might be able to get down with this is if this is going straight to Injustice. And my man is just like, oh, all right. I thought I told y'all, stop playing with me. And he about to go out there and get captured by Batman.
How many times have I got to remind y'all?
How many times I got to kill Flash? How many times I got to kill? Like, if it's that, Slim, I'm in. I would love for it to be that, but it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. It's a terrible picture. It's a terrible image.
Well, hopefully we can see something more from it coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, come out next year. Come out 2025. July, they dropped the image, dropped the date. It's like July 2025. So I can't really get excited about that. I have a feeling they'll bump it up.
Okay.
But I also need to see what else is in the works. You know, this whole like DC thing with like some of the, I don't know, like, yep, the TV and the movies and like it's all gonna kind of coexist.
Games,
yeah. You know, we'll see what that really ends up looking like. You know, with James at the helm. But right now, I look at this image and I see him having just finished having sex or getting interrupted, and James Gunn has some stupid song playing in the background trying to make you think Superman's cool and this is what he listens to. But he doesn't, because Superman doesn't listen to me. He don't like music.
No, he's at Lois' place. Remember, it's her record.
That's what I know he's at her place. So whatever's playing on the record player, and my man's just like, I just got this hair put back in place, out of place. My suit dirty. I was just getting ready to have Lois wash this joint.
I was putting in some work.
And now I gotta go outside. And he doesn't look like it's important to him at all.
No, he really don't.
Nothing about what's happening in the city behind him is important at all. I don't care how much you like Superman or think this is a beautiful image. This is not good. Strapping on his rain galoshes to go. Is he going out there? Because right now it looks like he's literally going to take the stairs. Like he's just going to walk. Like he's not going to fly, bust through the window. Like he really looks like whatever, dog.
I will lock up before he leave.
Like he looked at his cash app like, ain't nobody pay me yet. Get there when I get there.
Straight up.
I don't feel it. How does Superman not like music? He doesn't. Look at him. What what music does Superman listen to, Ty? You know what I'm saying? You telling me Slim right now is going ape off the Drake and Kendrick beef right now? You trying to tell me that?
Not even close.
Not
even close.
Stop it. You know what I'm saying? It does look like cosplay. Which, again, isn't necessarily bad, Anthony. It's a good cosplay. Like, it looks like Superman. I might have to take another blood pressure pill tonight, mess around with y'all. Hey, listen, let me tell you something, Ty. If you really want me to start going off, look at his collar, dog. He has on almost a turtleneck. Why does he have almost a turtleneck?
It looked like it's supposed to have a helmet attached to it, but he said, "No, I don't need that part of the suit."
It looked real Homelander. That's weird, because like Homelander's joint clearly is supposed to be based on like him. It's like him and Captain America or whatever, something like that. But like that joint looks, I don't know, dog. Listen, I can't get behind the feeling of this image. I know when you looked at it, you were like, "Oh my God, it's Superman," and it is. Oh my God, this is about to be a great movie. I'm not saying it's not, because again,
I'll wait till I see the trailer.
Could be some injustice getting ready to happen here. And I'm telling you, if that's where we're going, the world needs an evil Superman. New 52 mixed with the classic suit. Bro, so like I don't and I here's the thing.
Looks weak.
I don't mean any disrespect for it, but you just have to remember that like
it's Superman.
Superman's suit redesigns have not been anywhere near as good as everybody else's suit redesigns, because there are just certain elements that feel like they have to be there in order for it to be Superman that you like can't get away with. So like if you take every outfit that Storm has ever worn, they all smash this joint.
Yeah.
Like the iterations of them, right? Take all the Spider-Man joints. They all smash this joint. And you take all of the different Superman outfits, and then, they're very small, subtle changes that are like a couple lines in the suit or something. Like Captain America is really no different. You know what I mean? But like, it just it's not. It's a classic look, and I get it, but it is still also a very 1940s, 1930s look. It still does so much to evoke that original thing, and the only thing that's really different is that it looks like the material is better, because materials have gotten better. But like the design and look of the suit, it doesn't feel modern to me. variations in Cyclops suit and all the X-Men suits have been better than everything that Superman has ever been given. Even when Superman had like the all black suit with the, you know what I'm saying, with the mullet joint and like all of that, like it was, I mean, at least it was different. But that version of Superman, when he was like electric, he looked like Freakazoid.
Facts.
He like Freakazoid, dog.
Facts.
Which, by the way,
and they had the red and blue version. Yeah.
Freakazoid, fire, bro. Fire. But I'm just saying, it's very difficult for me to get excited about what this movie is going to be based on this image, other than taking my own thoughts about the idea. Like, I honestly, like, we've seen, I don't know that there's a version of Superman that the main public has seen that we're not going to get again.
No,
What's going to be actually fresh about it? It's the one thing that I really did appreciate about Zack Snyder's approach was just that, like, Superman has been done over and over and over again. And even if you like Smallville or you like Lois and Clark, Superman is still Superman. The basic things are still so very basic, and the stories that you can tell pretty much have been told, right? And so I see purple lasers and I think Brainiac. You know what I'm saying, in the background or whatever. All right. You know what I'm saying? Can they do it better than maybe it's been done in the CW before on some version of Lois and Clark or, you know, whatever? Probably. But to really do something that would be different and make everybody else in the DCU feel important and truly give you some insight to a version of the humanity of Superman that I think audiences would actually, whether they like it or not, like, I think that they would be on it, would be to do Injustice. To truly show the kind of threat that he is, what he really could be doing if he decided to take that role. And you get to then turn around and put Batman, and that means you also have to have other heroes that take his side. Yeah. Like Wonder Woman, who just like, I'm down. What's up? You know what I'm saying? And you got to make people hate her the way they have to hate Superman. And then they have to love Batman, which makes Batman so much better, again, because he is the lone human man fighting against the most powerful person on the planet. He's the only one left. He didn't. And that story takes Batman and then elevates him to a status that, even as popular as Batman is and always has been, he will then be unstoppable. If they do that and they do it right, it almost doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't really matter who you cast as Batman anyway, but it almost doesn't matter who you cast as Batman, because then Batman has to fight Damian Wayne. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a long day for him.
Like, now we getting into some things. Like
Damian comes with the smoke.
You getting some Joker. You get like it like that, bruh. I hope that this lazy bum you see in front of you, because that's what this is. I'm very used, like, I grew up on that, like, I'm going to rip my shirt open and I'm taking off. Like, bro.
He don't like he can wear a suit over that.
Dog, somebody could be robbing a bank or snatch an old lady's purse, and my man is in a phone booth getting it in. The world is coming to an end behind this man right now, and he is like, come on, dog.
He is blown. He has to deal with it.
I just got off. Yeah, like, it's just very much like, I'm not feeling it. And I tell James Gunn to his face, if you get him on this show, y'all all go tweet at James Gunn, tell him come holler at Loading Snacks, and we'll have a fight about it right here, right now. I don't have a problem with that. And he'll tell me I'm dead wrong, and I don't have any idea where the story is going. And I'll be like, cool, prove me wrong. Because that's what I want. The honest to goodness truth is, I want to be wrong about it. Right now, though, I'm 1,000% right about it.
Right now, it's just fun picking at the picture.
But because that's a lazy bum right there. That's a man who don't want to go to work. I'm tired of this.
It is.
I don't want to do it no more. Oh, I got to save y'all again? Somebody pay me, dog. Like, that's who that is. You put why these boots so tight? Like, he's just upset. Exactly, dog. Ty, look at the picture, Ty.
Tuck them in.
Look at the picture, dog. Look at the picture, and then go to sleep. And I want you to think about what James Gunn gave you when he really put this joint out here. What he actually gave you was an opportunity for me to explain to you what he actually gave you with this picture. Then I know you hate Superman.
Facts.
And I'm not a big fan. Again, looking at this, it almost feels like he's like, oh, that's Gotham back there. Like, I don't even care. Like, that's not my jurisdiction. Like, he like,
you know what? In the Snyderverse, they were like across a river from each other.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's like, I remember Bruce said, stay out of Gotham. Got you, homie. That's what I see.
God.
Anyway, listen, it's been great hanging out with y'all tonight. I'm sure y'all miss jokes. We'll make sure we send them y'all love. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button. I saw that pop up. I appreciate that. You know, look, go tell y'all folks to subscribe. We're only like 15 people away from hitting 1,000 subscribers, and that would be wonderful. We just gotta boost that watch time. But look, we're almost there. So go tell your folks to subscribe. Whoever you know, go to their phone and just do it. Go get your parents' phone. Type in loading snacks on YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. They don't ever gotta look. Just hit it. You know what I'm saying? Saying I can tell you're getting that Beacons link up. I appreciate that. If you would like to, you know, do your job, and then we can close the show out.
Yeah, I'm okay. It was vicious messing with me. Yeah, but let's give a shout out to our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Again, make sure y'all look for that link from Meticulous Skin from Doctor Who, because
I'll throw the website up there right now.
Yeah, she got the Mother's Day thing going on right now. Y'all might want to jump in there and get right. This weekend, Saturday, we will be at Nerdpocalypse Power Plant Live, Baltimore, from 3 to 9. Come out, hang out. It is just a big party / bar crawl that is super duper geek theme. They got a Studio Ghibli themed rave club popping off out that joint. A couple of spots doing karaoke a couple of times during the day. It's gonna be a good time. Come out, hang out, catch us on stage doing some hosting and things of that nature. There's gonna be a bull riding competition. Yours truly is gonna be doing a little hosting there.
You gonna get on the bull?
You know, what happened? What happened?
If you was getting on the bull.
He getting on the bull. Probably will be somebody dressed like Superman riding that bull. Be honest. No, I'm not getting on the bull. It's not my thing. But I will laugh people out, and I will gladly commentate people being on the bull and trying not to spill their drinks. We'll see how that goes. Again, please do what you can to protect your mental health. Make sure you take some time for yourself. Do something, even if you only take 10 minutes. Like I said, spend a little extra time in the car when you pull up to the house, listen to something, pick a song, you know, let it go off, come in the house, jump in, play a game real quick. Just kind of give yourself a little bit of a break. Come in, lock yourself in the bathroom, pretend you're using it, doom scroll on your phone for a little bit, laugh at, you know, some stuff. I'm telling y'all, man, Instagram, kids getting hurt. Just trust me. You will feel like a terrible human being briefly for laughing so hard, but you are going to laugh so hard, bro. I watched this joint again. I've seen it before. That's the thing. When a joint makes me laugh, even though I've already seen it, and I know I have to watch it again because, bro, there's this joint. I know you've seen this in. It's this little boy, this little black boy, and he's like has his mother's phone, and his mother's like, "Give me my phone back," blah blah blah, and he's like, "Can I just do one thing first?" And she's like, "No." And this grandma, he sits her phone down, right? and then he jumps in the air and lands flat on his own back, dog. It pops directly up, like, and she's like, "Look at you! You done knocked the wind out yourself." Hey dog, listen. I cry every time I see that joint. I'm about to send it to you. I was watching that joint yesterday.
Okay.
It's actually in a compilation joint. I'm gonna send it to you. But yeah, like, just allow yourself to laugh. You'd be surprised how much just getting a good laugh can be helpful.
I got seen the new joint too. The little dude with the pull up with the little white girl.
Bro. My man just said, I found a white girl.
I found a white girl.
What? You can't? What?
And she just waves like, "Hey, that's me."
You're like, oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's you know. Listen. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. It's been super awesome. We'll be back next week. If you didn't see it already, the movie of the month this month is The Phantom Menace. Star Wars, just a good way to celebrate the 25th anniversary of that movie. We're gonna watch it and find out whether or not the prequels hold up. See, so I seen that one. I tell you, see how that's all capital letters? You know why?
Yeah.
You know why? Yeah. Listen, you cannot increase your value to others by increasing their value to you. With that, we're out. Toodles and loose.
Loading snacks.